Hi everyone, welcome to Arches on YouTube, and this is going to be the fifth video, I believe, of the series on the Nimzovich Defense. And on this one, we're going to cover the second move, Knight F3. What if your opponent doesn't play D4 and plays something else on the second move? You might have been really upset because when you're playing online, none of your opponents are playing D4 because they know you've watched the previous parts of my videos. Therefore, they're really afraid to play D4 against you. Therefore, they were so smart that they figured out, well, I don't have to play D4 there. So how is Black going to get a good position if White doesn't play D4? Well, it's simple. Well, not really simple, but well, just enjoy the show. After e4, Black goes knight c6. Now, Mr. Smarty goes knight f3 this time. And should that discourage us from playing d5? Absolutely not. Why? Because as what you guys have seen on the introduction or introductory video, the idea of knight f3 is to make sure that if Black goes d5, which we're not really afraid to play d5 here, he takes on d5, Queen takes d5. Oh, look at that! Unfortunately for Black, he doesn't have any pressure towards the d4 pawn. But do we care? We don't care. We're still very happy that we have this position. Why? Because our queen is very active, and we could easily switch around to the king side after he, quote-unquote, took advantage of your queen on d5. What a beautiful move for Black. Now, what is the idea behind queen h5? There are two ideas behind queen h5. Pressure on h2 and pressure on h2. Oh, okay. How does Black pressure on h2 here? For queen h5, most of your opponents are probably going to think that they could take advantage of the queen on h5 by going bishop e2, but I've seen in tournament play that some of the opponents would play h3 here. And after h3, Black can go bishop g4. After bishop g4, wow, what a pin. Black is threatening on producing double pawns in White's position, and at the same time, White's not going to be able to capture the pawn, because if White captures the pawn, Black can capture the rook on h1, right? Okay, so instead of capturing the bishop, if he goes bishop e2, it will simply transpose back into the variation. Okay, whoops. Let me fix the board for a little bit. There you go. Bishop e2. I did it again. Okay. So bishop e2. Okay, bishop e2. Black can castle. Well, it's pretty much going to transpose, or this is actually the main line. So we're gonna just look at the main line, see what the ideas are behind queen h5. So after knight c3, you go queen h5. White is gonna play bishop e2. Oh, maybe I have some discovery attack later. Then we just put our bishop on g4, attacking the pawn on f3, which means no knight on f3, more pressure on h2, and okay, if he castles, it's going to be pretty much the same if he plays h3. But if he doesn't play h3, for example, if he goes d4 here, we have the second thematic idea. Look at that pressure that we have. So e5 is something to a move to look for all the time. Look at that pressure that we have towards the queen on d1. So if he pushes the pawn, that's absolutely harmless. We can keep developing our pieces, go knight f6, the idea of like e4, bishop d6, pointing towards h2, and if your opponent plays h3, we can sacrifice the bishop on h3 at the right moment to attack. So the second idea of this position is to have e5 inserted. Not only to pressure king side, but also you're pressuring the center. Maybe at this point of the game, your opponent's feeling all dizzy and stuff, you know, because you're just putting him on the pedal all the time. Okay, so if your opponent doesn't play h3, you can castle, go e5, put your knight on f6, put your bishop on d6, and then you attack towards the h2 pawn. If your opponent plays h3, you sack that bishop on h3. So you can weaken his king's position. So after h3, excuse me, Black just simply takes advantage of the pin by going knight f6. And after castles, black mouse slips on the next move. Mouse slip? Is this really a mouse slip? What is white going to do? Why can't white just take the bishop on g4? I wonder if that's going to be really dangerous. What if white doesn't take? For example, if he goes d4, what's our thematic move here, guys? We've seen this, well, not a lot of times, but we've seen this before. We play e5, put more pressure, and go bishop d6 at some point, so we can play bishop takes h3. If he takes the bishop, the theme is going to be similar to the main line. Now what happens after h3? Castles, queenside. H takes g4. Okay, look at that. Well, there's no checkmate. It looks like white is covering the h2 square. Oh, really? I wonder if he really is. How is white going to defend against a possible way of removing the only defense on the h2 square? For example, knight d4. Whoops. I wonder why I keep doing that. Knight d4. Knight e5. Or maybe e5, e4. Or followed by bishop d6. Well, good luck with your opponent if he finds the best defense. Maybe the computer will, but if you're playing against a human player, they will have a very difficult time finding the defense. So our threat now is to remove the defender of the h2 square by going knight d4. Yep. So that is how we play. That's how we play this variation. So good luck good luck to your opponent if he takes the bishop, and you're now supposed to be quite familiar with the themes. If he goes knight f3, black gets a very easy position. And by the way, just for additional information, bishop takes h3 is also possible here to destroy white's position, but most likely your opponent is going to be prepared for this because it's quite simple to defend against bishop takes h3. But for some people it's not. Well, it's worth a shot, and you know it's fun. So as long as you're having fun and you're learning how to play chess, set up tactics, attack, use all your pieces, just go for it. Anyways, thanks for tuning in and watching this video. Hope you guys have a good day. Goodbye.